She knocked on the door. Her husband opened it. He smiled, the way he smiled at strangers. "How can I help you?" he said. I'm your wife," the woman said. He looked confused. "I'm sorry, I think you have the wrong address," he said, starting to close the door. She put her hand out. "Mark, I'm Sarah. We got married 6 months ago. This is our home." He stopped. He looked confused. "Ma'am, I'm not married, and I don't know you." She pushed inside. Wedding photos were on the wall. "Still there," she pointed. "This is us. March 14th, 130 guests. You wore a blue suit. I wore a white dress." He stared at the photo. For a long time. "This is me," he said. "But I don't know this woman, and I don't remember this wedding." "Yesterday morning you kissed me goodbye before work," she said. "Last evening you went to Serenity Wellness Center for stress treatment. 2 hours later you came back, and you didn't recognize me anymore." That day, 6 other patients had also gone to that clinic. When they all returned, they'd forgotten someone. Some forgot their spouse, some forgot their children, some forgot their parents. The clinic advertised, "Erase your trauma." But when they erased trauma, everything connected to that memory disappeared too. And sometimes you forgot who you were. From which city in the world are you watching this video today? If this story resonates with you, please consider subscribing to discover more unsolved cases. Portland, Oregon, 2024. That night, the woman sat on the couch and cried. Her husband was upstairs, sleeping in the guest room, because he didn't want to share his home with a stranger. In the woman's hand was a marriage certificate. Legal, official, real, but it didn't exist in her husband's memory. Early in the morning, the woman called her lawyer. "My husband doesn't recognize me," she said. "He doesn't remember our marriage. What can I do?" The lawyer was silent, then asked, "Is it a medical condition? An accident? Trauma?" "No," the woman said. "He went to a clinic for stress treatment, and when he came back, I was gone." That morning, the woman began researching Serenity Wellness Center. The website was professional, modern. It looked trustworthy. Neural therapy. "Forget your trauma. Begin a new life," it read. The founder was a neurology doctor. He had certifications, licenses. Reviews were 5 stars. "My PTSD is gone. I don't think about my divorce anymore. My past pain is gone." Hundreds of positive comments. No negative reviews. None. This struck the woman as strange. Every business had a few bad reviews, but here there were none. The woman dug deeper. She searched social media for Serenity Wellness. She found a support group. Post Serenity Support, Help for Families, 247 members. She read the posts and froze. Every post was the same story. "My spouse went to the clinic, forgot me. My father got treatment, doesn't recognize his children. My sister came out, had forgotten our family." 247 people. All had gone to the same clinic. All had forgotten someone, and none of them came back. The memories had been permanently erased. But the most frightening post was this: "My mother went to the clinic. She forgot me. My father, her entire life. She now lives as if she's 18 years old. And she's happy. She's never been this happy. I want her back. But she doesn't want to come back. Because she doesn't remember us. And since she doesn't remember, she doesn't miss us." That evening, the woman tried to talk to her husband. "Please listen to me," she said. "6 months ago we got married. Here's the proof. Photos, videos, marriage certificate. Our bank accounts are joint. The car is in your name, but I use it too. The house mortgage is in both our names." Her husband looked at the photos, the videos, the documents. Everything was real, undeniable. But he didn't remember. "Maybe," he said slowly, "maybe we really did get married. But I don't remember. And how can I love someone I don't remember?" The woman couldn't answer, because he was right. Love was built on memories. Without memories, there was no love. But the woman didn't give up. The next day, she went to Serenity Wellness Center. The clinic's receptionist was friendly. "Would you like to schedule an appointment?" she asked. "No," the woman said. "My husband came here yesterday. He got treatment, and now he doesn't recognize me." The receptionist's smile froze. Then she recovered. I'm sorry, but due to patient confidentiality, I can't provide information about this. You erased my husband's memory, the woman said, her voice rising. He forgot me. He forgot our marriage. He forgot everything. Mom, please calm down. Our treatment is FDA approved, legal, safe. Side effects are explained to patients, and consent forms are signed. What side effects? Forgetting your wife. The receptionist pressed a button. Security came. Within 2 minutes, the woman had been escorted out of the building. But as she was being escorted out, she saw someone in the waiting room, an elderly woman. A young man sat next to her. The man was saying, "Mom, don't you remember me? I'm your son. I used to visit you every week." The woman smiled, but it was an empty smile. "You're very kind," she said, "but I don't have children. I live alone." The man was crying, "Mom, please, please remember, I'm your son. I'm 32 years old. When you gave birth to me, I'm sorry," the woman said politely, "but I don't know you." And she really didn't know him. There was no sign of recognition in her eyes, just emptiness. That evening, the woman called David Harrington. David was a private investigator. He took on unsolved cases. She'd found his website. "Mr. Harrington," she said, "I think a crime is being committed, but nobody believes me." David listened. For a long time, everything about the clinic, the support group, the 247 families, her husband. Then he asked, "The people who go to this clinic, are they happy?" The woman paused. It was an unexpected question. "Yes," she said, "they're all very happy. They say they've never been this happy." Then, David said, "Before I take this case, I need to ask you a question. Do you want your husband back, or do you want him to be happy? Because those two things might not be the same." The woman couldn't answer, because she didn't know. She wanted her husband back, but her husband right now wasn't unhappy. He was confused. Yes, but he wasn't suffering. He had no trauma, no stress. Maybe bringing him back would mean condemning him to pain again. David understood the woman's silence. "Let's find out the truth first," he said. "Then we'll decide what to do. But I'll tell you this, erasing memory is killing identity. And to me, that's a form of murder." David called in Marcus Chen. Marcus was a criminal psychologist. He specialized in cult psychology. David explained the case to him. Marcus took notes, then analyzed. This isn't classic cult manipulation, but the principles are the same. How do cults control people? By making them forget their past, by separating them from their families, by erasing their old identity, by giving them a new identity. This clinic is doing the same thing, but under a medical facade. David nodded. "But cults usually use force. These people are going voluntarily." "Yes," Marcus said, "because they're selling hope. Hope of escaping trauma. But in reality, you're escaping identity. And when identity is gone, you're gone too. Is the person who remains technically you?" It's a philosophical question. Elena Cortez stepped in. Elena was an investigative journalist, an OSINT specialist. She researched everything about Serenity Wellness Center. The clinic owner, Dr. Nathaniel Cross, 52 years old, neurology degree from MIT. 15 years ago, he'd opened his own private clinic. At first, he did normal neurological treatments, migraines, epilepsy, nerve damage. But 7 years ago, something changed. He announced he'd developed a new treatment method, neural memory therapy, a method for targeting and erasing traumatic memories. The first trials were done on animals. They were successful. Mice's frightening memories were erased. Then human trials began. The first 3 years with volunteers, PTSD patients, war veterans, rape survivors. The results were complicated. Elena found a former patient. He agreed to talk, anonymously. 7 years ago I'd returned from war, he said. PTSD was bad. Every night I had nightmares. I heard explosion sounds. I couldn't live my life. I heard about Dr. Cross's treatment. I tried it. After the first session, the nightmares stopped. My war memories became blurry. I felt relief, but there was a problem. I'd also forgotten the men I saved in war, my friends too, why I fought. It wasn't just the bad memories that were gone. Everything connected to that memory was gone. Dr. Cross said, "This is normal. The brain can't isolate memories. Erasing a memory means erasing the neural networks connected to that memory." I accepted it, because there was no pain, but then I realized I was gone too. I'd forgotten who I was. I was just an empty shell. David requested a meeting with Dr. Cross. He went to the clinic. The receptionist requested an appointment. David said, I just want to ask a few questions. Due to patient confidentiality, we can't provide information. The receptionist said, I'm not a patient. David said, I'm an investigator, and I've received complaints from 247 families. They all say the same thing. Their loved ones go to the clinic, come out and don't recognize them. The receptionist's face changed. One moment, she said. She picked up the phone. 5 minutes later, a man emerged. Dr. Cross. Tall, thin, glasses. He looked tired. Mr. Harrington, he said, come to my office. His office was minimalist. White walls, modern furniture, brain scan images on the wall. Dr. Cross sat down. I can't violate patient privacy, he began, but I can speak generally. My treatment is about clearing traumatic memories. Using neural mapping, I find where specific memories are stored in the brain. Then, using transcranial magnetic stimulation, I reset those areas. The memory becomes inaccessible. David took notes. But there are side effects, aren't there? People forget not just the trauma, but everything connected to that memory. Dr. Cross paused. The brain is complex. A memory isn't isolated. It's connected to other memories, like a thread. When you pull it, sometimes other threads come with it. 24/7 people forgot their loved ones, David said. That's not a thread. That's destroying the entire fabric. Dr. Cross's face tensed. I gave them a choice, live with trauma or live without it. They all chose without it, but they lost their identity, David said. Identity, Dr. Cross said slowly. What is it but pain? When Marcus heard this statement, he analyzed. This is cult leader logic. He's saying, without pain, you don't exist. But the truth is, pain is part of humanity. Without pain, there's no joy, because the two have meaning together. Dr. Cross, while rescuing his patients from pain, is also rescuing them from humanity. And worst of all, he's doing it with good intentions. That makes him more dangerous. David asked, why? Why is he doing this? Marcus thought. Elena, research Dr. Cross's past. Does he have his own trauma? Elena researched for 3 days and found it. 12 years ago, Dr. Cross's wife and 8-year-old daughter died in a car accident. Dr. Cross was driving. He survived the crash, but his family died. Guilt, trauma. He'd been in therapy for years. He'd returned to work. But Elena spoke with a former colleague. Nathaniel changed after the accident. He became obsessive. He was doing memory research. He kept asking, can we erase a memory? We'd say, why do you want to erase it? He'd say, because some memories kill people. He wanted to erase his own memory, but he couldn't do it to himself. The ethics committee wouldn't allow it. So he did it to others. First he healed them. Then maybe he'd do it to himself. With this information, David visited Dr. Cross again, this time with a different approach. Dr. Cross, he said, 12 years ago you lost your family. Car accident. You were driving. Dr. Cross froze. This is personal and irrelevant. It's not irrelevant, David said, because you developed this treatment for yourself, to escape your own trauma, but you couldn't apply it to yourself. It wouldn't be ethical. You wouldn't get approval, so you're applying it to others. By saving them, you're trying to save yourself. Dr. Cross's eyes filled with tears. Every night I see that accident, he said. I hear my daughters scream. I remember my wife's last look. I've been living with this for 12 years. And tell me, is this living? Is being in pain living? Yes, David said, because pain is proof that you loved them. If you forget the pain, you forget them too. And then, they're truly dead. Dr. Cross sat in his office that night, alone, and made a decision. He would apply his own treatment to himself. He would erase 12 years of pain. He prepared the device, did neural mapping, found where the accident memory was in his brain, started the stimulation. But there was a problem. The accident memory was connected to all his memories with his wife and daughter. If you erased one, you erased them all. Dr. Cross knew this, but he continued. Because the pain was unbearable, the device ran 47 minutes, then stopped. Dr. Cross removed the electrodes from his head and felt nothing. He didn't remember the accident. He didn't remember his wife either, his daughter, the day they first met, the marriage proposal, his daughter's birth, her first steps. None of it, all of it, was gone. And the most terrifying part, he was happy. For the first time in 12 years, he was truly happy, because there was no pain, but there was no love either, no memories, no identity, just empty peace. The next day, Dr. Cross didn't come to the clinic. His assistant became worried. They went to his house. They found him. He was sitting, smiling. "Who are you?" he asked his assistant. "I'm your assistant," the assistant said. "We've worked together for 5 years." Dr. Cross was surprised. "Am I a doctor?" he said. He'd forgotten his own profession, because being a doctor was connected to his wife's and daughter's death. When he erased that memory, he'd erased his medical career too. He no longer knew who he was. He was just a happy stranger. When David received this news, he called Marcus. Dr. Cross applied the treatment to himself. Now, he doesn't remember anything. Marcus was silent, then said he wanted to live without pain, and he succeeded. But he's not living anymore. He's just existing. David asked, "What should we do? Should we shut down the clinic?" Marcus answered, "You can shut down the clinic, but the damage is permanent. 247 people forgot their loved ones, and you can't bring them back, because the brain can't rebuild those neural networks. The memory, she accessed the clinic's records, illegally, but David overlooked it. In the past 7 years, 1,847 patients had been treated. All came for trauma treatment. 87% experienced a side effect, 34% forgot someone, 23% forgot their profession, 18% forgot their children, 12% forgot their own names, and all of them were happy. They had no complaints, because there was no pain, but there was no identity either. No love, no memory, just empty peace. And was this peace living, or just existing? David returned to the woman, his first client, whose husband had forgotten her. "Let me tell you what we found," he said. "Your husband received neural memory therapy at Serenity Wellness Center. The treatment was meant to erase work stress, but work stress was connected to meeting you, because he met you at work. Remember, you started as work acquaintances. When he erased that memory, he erased you too, and your marriage, everything." The woman cried. "Can we bring him back?" she asked. David shook his head. "No, the neural networks are permanently damaged. The memory won't return." "But," he paused. "But what?" "But you can create new memories, from scratch. You can meet again, fall in love again. It won't be like before, but maybe it can be something new." The woman tried this. She invited her husband for coffee, like strangers. "Hello," she said. "I was your wife before, but now I just want to meet again." Her husband looked. He was confused, but he accepted. They had coffee. They talked. It was like a first meeting, but there was no magic, because the woman knew the entire past, but her husband didn't. There was asymmetry, and love couldn't be built on asymmetry. 3 months later, the woman filed for divorce, because her husband wasn't that person anymore. Still the same face, same voice, but inside, empty, without memories. Personality couldn't exist, and the memories were gone, forever. David closed the case file, but one question remained in his mind. Was living without pain better, or living without identity? There was no answer, because both were a kind of death. Marcus wrote an article about a new form of cult psychology, medical cults, healing as erasure. In the article he wrote, "Traditional cults use isolation and brainwashing, but medical cults use hope and treatment. They're more dangerous, because people come voluntarily, and when they leave, they've become someone else, or they've become no one." Elena published a documentary, The Forgetting Game, How a Wellness Clinic Erased 1,847 Identities. The documentary went viral, 4 million views. The FBI investigated Serenity Wellness Center. They shut down the clinic. They sued Dr. Cross, but Dr. Cross couldn't defend himself, because he'd forgotten who he was. He came to court. "Am I a doctor?" he asked the judge. "What did I do?" His lawyer explained. "You erased 1,847 people's memories." Dr. Cross was surprised. "Why did I do that?" "Because you were trying to heal them." Dr. Cross nodded. "Did I heal them?" The lawyer was silent, because the answer was both yes and no. The court's decision. Dr. Cross couldn't be held responsible due to mental incapacity, because he'd lost his own identity. But the clinic had to pay compensation to 1,847 patients, total 340 million. But money couldn't bring back memories. 1 year later, David received a report. A new clinic had opened, in Miami. Peaceful Mind Wellness. It offered the same services. Forget your trauma. Begin a new life. Different doctor. Different name. but the same technology, because the technology hadn't been banned. Only Dr. Cross had been banned, and now someone else was doing it. David asked Marcus, "Why? Why are people still going?" Marcus answered, "Because pain is universal, and escaping pain is human nature. If someone tells you I can erase your pain, most people accept, without thinking about the consequences, because pain demands immediate solutions. It doesn't allow long-term thinking. And here, for the first time in human history, people could forget themselves, voluntarily, legally, and most were happy, because there was no pain, but there was no identity either, no love, no memory, just empty peace. And was this peace living, or just existing? The woman saw her ex-husband one last time, on the street, by chance. "Hello," she said. Her husband looked, didn't recognize her. "Hello," he said back, politely, the way you do with strangers, and walked away. The woman watched. He looked happy. He was smiling. He had no stress, no pain. But he wasn't there either. The man inside had died. Someone else had taken his place. A stranger. A happy stranger. Perhaps the worst loss wasn't death. The worst loss was being forgotten. Because death, at least, allowed for memories. But when you're forgotten, it's as if you never existed. And the woman had never existed in her husband's life. The marriage was real, but not in her husband's memory. So then, was it real? It was a philosophical question. But in practice, the answer was clear: no, because reality lived in memories. Without memory, there was no reality either. Serenity Wellness Center was shut down, but the technology remained. 14 new clinics opened. Worldwide, each offered trauma treatment. Each had the same side effects. But people were going because pain was unbearable, and forgetting was easy. One day, perhaps, humanity will never feel pain, will never experience trauma, will never feel sorrow, but then there will be no love either, no joy, no memory, just empty happiness. And would that be a real life, or just a living death? We don't know the answer, not yet, but we'll find out soon, because the technology is here, and people are choosing pain or forgetting. Most are choosing to forget, and slowly, a society of humans is becoming a community of strangers. Nobody remembers anyone, but everyone's happy, and this, perhaps, was the greatest tragedy.